All right, welcome back. So I promised you some national level stuff, so here we go. So, Brookings Institute. This is just kind of a post on their website. I came across it through Twitter, I believe. It's really interesting. It talks about title Seven Myths About Defunding the Police Debunked. Okay, first, defund means abolish. I differ with Brookings a little bit here in that for some of the population, some of the people that are on the streets last year related to George Floyd, it definitely means abolish. But I think for most people, like myself, and many criminal justice scholars and researchers, it means reallocating some of the funds that go for police to other social services that have better results. People interested in what that would be, go look at an archive for Cahoots, our show with Cahoots, Tim Black and Ebony. Can't remember Ebony's last name, but Tim and Ebony from Cahoots. It's a program in Eugene, Oregon about crisis response. What is possible if you put your mind to it. It's been operating 30 years. So, you don't have to wait around like Lightfoot is. Okay, defunding will lead to disorder. Untrue. As we'll talk about soon, hopefully we'll get to it in Charlotte. It will not lead to disorder. The reality is, despite research in the 90s about broken windows theory working so well in New York, crime was already going down in New York before broken windows started, and broken windows had, it seems from follow-up research, very little to do with happening in New York. And gentrification, because you were talking rent-controlled $500 a month apartments now may cost $5,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. Things change a little bit about street crime when that happens. But that is just not true. All right. I know the public and especially the police have this view that they're the only ones keeping disorder down. That is untrue. The research does not show that. It does not bear that. Number 3, police protect the public from violence. Well, really? A little bit of this is true, but let me give you some stats that are in this to just give you a little bit of clarification. I think, and I had an argument with a professor from Lewis University in Chicago about this. The existence of police is a deterrent for some. Very few, but a deterrent for some, that we have the police and we have a criminal justice system and incarceration. But that's very few. So take that for what it's worth. Police protect the public from violence. All right, really? So this is what police did not solve. 70% of robberies, 66% of rapes, 47% of aggravated assaults, and 38% of murders go unsolved each year nationally. Now, those numbers are actually much, 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 much worse if you dig into them and get around the propaganda that is how police departments say things are cleared. Those numbers are actually much, much worse. Yes, the public has no idea how few crimes are actually solved. I know we want to believe that they're all solved, or like 2/3 or 80%. Isn't happening. So that's a bit of propaganda the public is built into it. Community programs won't work. That is wrong. What doesn't work is arresting a drug addict and putting them in jail where they get access to drugs, or putting them in prison, they get access to drugs, and then disconnecting them from their families, any kind of job they were holding, apartment they were holding, family they may have. That doesn't work. Our recidivism rates are like 70% for most crimes now. How much worse could community-based programs and social services and crisis response actually be? Besides the fact that you would free up cops to spend time actually trying to solve robberies and rapes and aggravated assaults and more than 38%, or the 38% of murders that go unsolved. Most police work is focused on crime prevention. Wrong, 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 wrong. The police prevent very little crime in their day-to-day work. Most of it, they would say they do it by arresting low-level people from offending again, but then, no. Most of the low-level people traverse the system quickly, get in and out, and can reoffend very quickly if they so choose. That is not reality. And focusing on small crimes, as we're going to see with Charlotte if we get to it, probably not the best policy. Police officers do not need college degrees. I am strongly, strongly, strongly against this. I understand that not everyone should go to college, but I think it's fair to say if we're going to give people a gun and a license to kill people and use force, and the only people in our society that outside of the Army who's not supposed to use it inside the country, the only people who are in our communities that have that power, they should at least have a degree. Or Hey, make the academy 2 or 3 years and really, really deep train them. Then I'd be open to that. But a 6-month or 4-month academy, no. If it's either that or a degree, then they have to have degrees. Defunding the police is a knee-jerk reaction with no research. Wrong, 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 wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, crisis response has been up in Eugene, Oregon and Springfield, Oregon for 30 plus years. Eugene for 30 plus years. 30 years. They have a long track record of success. And the reality is, we have the data and we'll be publishing hopefully later this summer. The police spend their times on most of the stupidest things. People think they're running around from murder to murder to murder to murder. They're not. They're not. They're not. They're not. It is not a knee-jerk reaction. There's plenty of research. The cops themselves know. They know who the beaters are on their beats. If you talk to a beat cop, who beats their spouse? They know it. What solution do they have? Well, they arrest a guy, guy or woman, mostly men, beating their wives or girlfriends or partners. Mostly men. They arrest them, they get out in a day or two, and then the women are in a shitty situation because they lock the guy up, and then there's more violence. After that, it's just ridiculous. Drug treatment, they don't give them drug treatment. They're mental health treatment. They don't get mental health treatment. So locking them up for having those problems doesn't do any good. We are a short-term solution society, especially when it comes to services for the poor, for those in the most need. If you're rich and white, we have long-term plans with funneling money like crazy to make you richer. Don't worry about that. If one thing we are good is helping rich white people get even richer. And Lightfoot is no difference. Look at tax increment financing and look what she has done. And by the way, I'm going to tell you what she has done. Nothing to change that system.